BioVivacious. I'm Sebastian. BioVivacious is a YouTube channel dedicated to clear fundamentals of biosciences and make the subject exciting. In an earlier video, we have seen that amino acids can be part of proteins and they can also be part of certain peptides. We will look at one such peptide. That peptide is glutathione. See, glutathione has a lot of importance because it's a tripeptide. First of all, it has only 3 amino acids. The 3 amino acids are glutamic acid, cysteine and glycine. So these are the 3 amino acids, and this is the most abundant tripeptide, in nature. So and it has several functions to perform. So therefore glutathione has got a lot of importance. That is the reason why we are talking about glutathione in the class today. So now, as you see, these are the 3 amino acids. So therefore it is also known as glutamyl cysteinyl glycine. So today let us look at how this molecule is synthesized. So first of all, we focus on the synthesis of glutathione. Remember, glutathione is present in all of us. In all organisms, glutathione is present. We begin with starting with the glutamic acid. Okay, so before we get into the glutamic acid structure, let us write down the structure of glutathione. So therefore it is glutamyl. So let us write glutamic acid. I'll use another pen so that there is clarity. This is glutamic acid. This is the cysteine and this is glycine. Okay, so therefore this is glutamic acid, this is cysteine and this is glycine. What is important for us to remember is, look at this is one peptide bond and this is another peptide bond. So look at the nature of this peptide bond. Remember, this is the alpha carbon atom. So this is the beta, this is the gamma. So the gamma carboxylic acid is entering into a peptide bond. Gamma carboxylic acid is entering into a peptide bond with to cysteine. So therefore, we will call this one gamma glutamyl cysteinyl glycine. So if somebody asks you why it is called gamma glutamyl cysteinyl glycine, so you know, you have the answer now, because it is a gamma peptide bond. Remember, naturally occurring proteins which are synthesized in our body will have only alpha peptide bond. So this is with the gamma peptide bond. So therefore, these are not synthesized based on ribosome. Enzymes are synthesizing this. It is not based on ribosome, it is synthesized in the cytoplasm based on different enzymes. So that is one of the characteristics or difference of this particular tripeptide and every other natural protein. So let us see, how do we synthesize this protein? Not protein, it is a tripeptide. So how do we synthesize this tripeptide? So we begin with the glutamic acid. Okay, so remember, glutamic acid will have, this is glutamic acid, so therefore it will have the carboxylic acid is here, this is the glutamic acid. To begin the reaction for the formation of this tripeptide, first of all we need to activate it. So in order to activate, we are going to use an ATP molecule. So ATP is used and inorganic phosphate is added to this. So therefore, this will become glutamic acid. This is the carboxyl group. So you can see that the phosphate is attached here. And we shall call this one glutamyl phosphate. Okay, we make this one glutamyl phosphate. So with the increase in the energy content of glutamyl phosphate, now it is able to enter into a peptide bond. And that peptide bond, since space is less, it should go in this manner. So therefore, that peptide bond is formed by, so therefore, let us write, it is the amino group, NH2 group of, in the next amino acid, that will be cysteine. So the amino group is added and this inorganic phosphate is liberated. Okay, so inorganic phosphate is liberated. It is liberated. So you will have now either glutamic acid and the cysteine added. Okay, so you get a dipeptide. So this is called glutamyl cysteine. This is called glutamyl cysteine. That's the name of the product. And this whole reaction is catalyzed by the first enzyme required for the synthesis. So therefore, starting from here, so from up to here. So this whole synthesis of dipeptide is catalyzed by gamma glutamyl cysteanyl synthetase. Okay, gamma glutamyl cysteanyl synthetase. We are specifying the word synthetase here. Why we use synthetase? Because ATP molecules are involved. If ATP is involved in a particular reaction, we call it synthetase. If ATP is not involved, we call it simply synthase. So remember that in mind. So now we are left with this dipeptide, that is glutamyl cysteine. So therefore, let us write glutamyl cysteine here and continue. So we have glutamyl cysteine. So this also will have, okay, the carboxyl group. Now to that, now we are going to activate it by using ATP. So ADP is removed. So we will have glutamyl cysteanyl phosphate here. Glutamyl cysteanyl phosphate, to make it more accurate, let us, no confusion. O and P. Okay, so this is called glutamyl cysteanyl. I am writing here glutamyl cysteanyl phosphate. What should be the next step? We should add the amino group from the third amino acid, that is from glycine. So in the next step, you can see that the NH2 of glycine is added and this inorganic phosphate is removed. So you will get glutamyl cysteanyl glycine. Short form is GSH. See how the synthesis happens. And this is catalyzed by the second enzyme. And the name of that second enzyme should be glutathione synthesis. Synthetase. Glutathione synthetase. So therefore, we, by using two enzymes, glutamyl cysteanyl synthetase and glutathione synthetase, we have produced glutathione, a tripeptide. Two ATP molecules have been invested. So therefore, it is an energy requiring process. So keep this in mind. In the late 1950s, a scientist called Alton Meister he was working on absorption and transportation of amino acids. So he realized that glutathione can be a very good molecule for carrying out this purpose. So they began exploring this possibility. So exploring the pathway for the transportation or the absorption of amino acids. So in order to understand that, we need to look at how glutathione is degraded. So let us look at the degradation of glutathione. So we will not be writing the structure since you already know the structure. So let us begin by saying that this is glutamyl cysteine glycine, our glutathione. Now assume this is a plasma membrane. Okay. Now this plasma membrane, an amino acid which is outside has to be brought inside. Okay, this amino acid. So to have clarity, let us use another color. So this amino acid has to be brought inside. To bring it inside, what is done is, here there is an enzyme. So this name of this enzyme, which is, it's a membrane bound enzyme. Okay, in the lumen, in the membrane, plasma membrane, there is an enzyme. So this enzyme is known as, let us write the name of the enzyme number 1 here. This enzyme is called gamma glutamyl transpeptidase. Gamma glutamyl transpeptidase. What is so peculiar about this enzyme? So this enzyme is capable of, somehow it is capable of attaching this enzyme with the glutamic acid, and these two other amino acids can be separated. So therefore, this enzyme, what it does is, if the dipeptide is removed, so the dipeptide is going to be cysteine and glycine is removed by this enzyme. What is left for us is glutamic acid is there, this amino acid is there. So let us write the structure. So this is glutamic acid. Alpha, beta, gamma. Okay, glutamic acid. To that, the new amino acid is attached. So here it is again a gamma peptide bond is formed. So NH, CH, let us put it CHR, we don't know which amino acid, and then COO. So this is a new amino acid. This is catalyzed by the first enzyme, gamma glutamyl transpeptidase. What is the second step? The second step is, now this amino group, it will attack the gamma peptide bond. Attack the gamma peptide bond, it cleaves this. So you are leaving the amino acid free, which means you have transported an amino acid from outside and you have brought the amino acid inside. So therefore, the next step is, we can put it, so I'm removing this name of the amino acid, the enzyme. So the next step is, that is step number 2, if the amino acid is released, the new amino acid is released, you are left with the glutamic acid. But you see the glutamic acid forms a bond with the gamma carboxyl acid, carboxyl group. So therefore we can write this structure like this. So this is starting from here. OO is there. Now, so single bond. Now here is this is the alpha carbon atom, the beta carbon atom, the gamma carbon atom, and this is carboxyl group, and this forms NH. Okay, so done. This product is called 5-oxoproline. So this is catalyzed by the second enzyme. What is the name of the second enzyme? Name of the second enzyme is, so since the cyclic form is formed, second enzyme is gamma glutamyl cyclotransferase. So gamma glutamyl cyclotransferase is the second enzyme which is formed. A second enzyme which is used for forming 5-oxoproline. Now once the 5-oxoproline is formed, we have the third reaction. So the third reaction is, we need to open this. So therefore, this bond has to be broken. So this bond is broken, and that is catalyzed by 5-oxoprolinase. 5-oxoprolinase. 5-oxoprolinase, if you break open this, you will get glutamic acid. So therefore, you have used 3 enzymes: gamma glutamyl cyclotransferase, gamma glutamyl transpeptidase, gamma glutamyl cyclotransferase, and 5-oxoprolinase. The 3 enzymes you have used in order to degrade glutathione. Now let us try to integrate the degradation as well as the synthesis in one cycle, so that we get clarity on how to transport an amino acid. You will understand the significance. So therefore, remember that. So this is the plasma membrane, and the amino acid is which is outside. We want to bring this amino acid. Let me put it here. So we want to bring this amino acid by using the glutathione degradation as well as synthesis. So that is the main purpose. So we have GSH here. So this is the first enzyme. So by using this enzyme, we have cysteine glycine that is formed here. So this is enzyme number 1. So you have glutamine amino acid, that is step number 1. So therefore, let me rub this portion. Now the second enzyme will remove the amino acid which was outside, and you will get 5-oxoproline. Okay. Now that is step number 2. This is step number 1. Step number 2. Next step is sorry, it is an ATP dependent step. ATP is involved, and ADP plus PI, that energy is utilized in order to form glutamic acid. Okay, so glutamic acid is formed. Now another reaction happens. That is, this is a dipeptide. There is an enzyme known as dipeptidase. So dipeptidase will cleave this into 2 products. One is cysteine, other one is glycine. 2 amino acids are formed. It is joined back into the amino acid pool. Now let us continue with the synthesis. So synthesis of glutathione, how we began? We began with the glutamic acid. We had the first enzyme by using ATP molecule. Okay, inorganic phosphate is removed, and we made this active form, glutamyl phosphate. To glutamyl phosphate, the cysteine is added. First enzyme, that is glutamyl cysteine synthetase. So you will get glutamyl cysteine. Second phosphorylation occurs. So next ATP is added. So ADP plus PI. So it forms glutamyl cysteine phosphate. To that, our glutamic acid is added, and you will get glutathione. So you see, so by using here, this is step number 1. So this is first enzyme, second enzyme, third enzyme, 5-oxoprolinase. This is the 4th enzyme, this is the 5th enzyme, and this is the 6th enzyme. Totally by using 6 enzymes and 3 ATP molecules, 1, 2, this is ATP, 1, 2 and 3 ATP molecules, we were able to transport an amino acid inside. So this is a very important cycle. This cycle is what is very commonly known as gamma glutamyl cycle. Gamma glutamyl cycle. So this is a very important cycle. It is mainly used for transportation of amino acid to, or absorption of, not transportation, absorption of amino acid inside. The gamma glutamyl cycle has its own limitations. The limitations are, so first of all, it does not operate for all amino acids. All amino acids cannot be absorbed through this method. For example, amino acids like hydroxyproline, etc. cannot be absorbed in this way. And it does not operate in all tissues. Okay, that is another thing. And the third point is it requires a large amount of ATP. You have seen that 3 ATP molecules are required for this particular pathway. So therefore, with its own shortcomings, but this becomes an effective way to absorb amino acids, and also you have seen that the amino acids which are formed can be converted, can be used for forming small peptides, tripeptides, etc. for various biological purposes. That is the significance of gamma glutamine cycle. Thank you for watching this video. We will be coming up with the more interesting topics of protein metabolism in future. Keep watching this video.